Hello, welcome to Faith and Geekery, and I realise that we still have the little banner up. Bye-bye, banner. Welcome to another, hopefully, fun-packed show, kids. We are joined by Becca, who I'm going to bring on straight away. Hello,
Hello.
Becca. I'm
Hello,
so
geeky
glad.
friends.
I'm so glad that you were able to log in as a co-host.
Log in with power, Mark.
Oh, rubbish. What's the... and we're also joined by Luke as well. Hello.
Hello, how is everybody?
All right, thank you. He looks just as a dinosaur trying to come across to you there, Luke.
He does. He looks like he's about to get
I'm in the
eaten.
danger zone.
Yes, lovely pictures that I took from these kind of interactive dinosaur parks and things like that. So that is all fun. Wonder what sort of geekery things that you've been up to this week, you two. And the question is also to all our viewers. And so, what fun things have been up to? What geekery things?
1 second.
Can hear people in the back.
I can hear somebody on Becca's side.
Yeah, sorry, I'm being asked whether I want curry. I really do want curry because I'm hungry. But we are live streaming to the world, to our many thousands of two viewers. I'll be done in an hour.
Okay, so you're going to eat after?
Yes, please don't eat all my food. Mark does what I do. He says the words that he's typing as he types
all
it.
The time.
It makes me a delightful colleague, doesn't it, Luke?
Indeed.
The problem is, if I don't do that, then there's lots of spelling mistakes or really bad words, like last week's. It's like, anyway, what sort of exciting things have been up to since we last?
I watched what was it called? The new Avatar film, the Way of Water.
Fluid of Water. Yes.
Yeah.
How was that? Is that good?
I think it's a good film. They're like, you know, I watched my way through it and
from the off.
Yeah. I think like as a whole, it was a good film. I thought there were some very odd decisions, like casting Sigourney Weaver to play a 14-year-old when she's a 73-year-old woman.
Yeah.
I found because to me her voice just didn't fit the character at all. It seemed really odd. I
was about to do an impression then.
You're struggling.
I'm
daughter.
trying to. Yes, yeah, no, I'm. It's clicking into place the memory of it, and she did do the voice, didn't she?
Yeah, and it just it was one of those things. It just seemed a little out of place, and my suspension of disbelief was somewhat affected. Yeah. But I think as a whole, I enjoyed it. You know, I've never been as in love with Avatar as a lot of people. But I thought it was a fun film. You know, I didn't feel like I'd wasted 2.5 hours. I thought it was good. So yeah, I'd recommend it if you've got nothing else to do.
But is it only 2.5 hours? I thought it was 3 hours.
Oh, I don't know. It could well be.
Yes.
How about you, Becca? Anything funny, geeky,
otherwise? Funny, geeky, faithy. I was at Wesley's Chapel yesterday in London. So I got my obligatory picture of me and John Wesley hanging out. I did not manage to get the All We Can cape onto his shoulders.
I'm afraid to say, Becca, he actually died.
It wasn't John Wesley that I was touching. But I did look at his original toilet that is still there, and it's a grade 1 listed toilet. That's that's Methodist geekery, isn't it? Really?
There's so many kind of things going through my head of thinking, are you not allowed to add to that toilet now? As if it's
the toilet itself is not the original. That has not touched John Wesley's bottom.
Right.
It is a more modern toilet. We've gone there now. Hang on. Potential spoilers. I think that totally is.
Spoilers of what?
I feel as if we need like one of those buttons, like on the Last Leg Show, where it's just like,
quick, stop. Edit.
Yeah.
Edit whatever Becca's about to say.
No, not necessarily you.
I'm sure there's a banner for that.
But in this case, yes. Jolly good. So geeky.
That was up there with geeky Methodism, looking at an A1 listed toilet because at some point John Wesley has been semi-naked in there.
Cool. Okay.
Yep.
That is quite niche
Yeah.
semi-geeky
It
baptism
is.
as well,
It
isn't it? But
Still counts.
anyone on the stream, any comments, feel free to post them up. And yeah, basically, I think for me, have I bored you with augmented reality before and stuff like that? But on the Wesley theme, I have been creating an augmented reality Wesley. Which
what can he do now? I think we need a weekly update on the augmented Wesley.
Did I show it last week? Is the question?
Yeah, but I want to see him again now.
No, I've only done that
it's
one.
It's in theme.
I've only done that one, I'm afraid. So it's the same as last week's. I just couldn't remember if I'd done it.
You're saying your geekery has not advanced from one week to the next?
No, because I've been busy.
No, because I have a job outside.
So that's that one. Did you see that one last week then? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see him do
when,
a bit
and
of
when you tap on him,
shaking.
when you tap on him, he then interacts like that.
Limbering up for us.
Yeah, basically limbering up.
To get on his horse.
Yeah.
I'll remove that. So that is what. But I guess what I have been doing, I've been basically building other things. So towards a Christmas project of a nativity. So I've been making a manger. I've been making Mary, but Mary's not finished yet, and the colouring hasn't finished with the manger yet. So
What happens to the manger if you touch it?
Nothing. It's just set dressing.
Can it gently rock? I want to.
I was thinking about having small bits of straw drift away, and I was like, well, that's just a bit of rubbish. So I'd rather just have a static manger. And
you touch it, and a rat comes out.
I assume.
Say that again, sorry, Luke.
I'm assuming it's an empty manger.
Yes.
At this point, yeah.
If
not, it could have holy light spilling forth. That'd be exciting.
That sounds really good. Yeah, we haven't got any special effects, I'm afraid, Becca, for you to play with.
Do you want me to just do that in the background?
Always. Okay, shall we? We're going to move on briefly. We're going to talk about things that are kind of geeky news and otherwise. Our Geeks Gallery on Discord. And there's a little plug there for. So I was suddenly really going, oh, what's Becca put up? So I think is this actually you, Luke, who'd been reading this?
Yes. This was a free book that I got when I visited the Warhammer store in Nottingham. A couple of weeks ago, and it's just a little collection of short stories. I don't know if you guys know this, but Games Workshop, the company who create Warhammer, employ a large number of authors, and they produce books about their universe. It is inordinate the number of books that seem to be coming out for what, in my mind, is a relatively niche thing. But seemingly there is a voracious readership for these books. So yeah, I've been enjoying, very slowly, given our 10-month-old daughter, requires a lot of attention, working my way through it. I think it's 5 stories from various of their different settings. And yeah, I've enjoyed it quite a lot.
Cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. And the next thing, is that a detail that you've also been painting from last week?
Sorry, this is the me show at this point.
No, it's good. There's one more.
That's good.
That's not you.
Always up for a Luke Miller me show.
Yeah, this is some of the wings of a model I'm painting at the moment. We are going on Saturday to our local Warhammer shop. They are doing an event called Gods of War, where we are, you painted up something, and they have a professional photographer come in with like smoke effects and lights and all sorts, and they'll take a really nice picture of your model for you. Cool. So looking forward to that, and I just need to get it finished. It's very close to being done, but at some point soon it will be finished, before Saturday anyway.
When are you adding the glitter onto it? Because I think that's the only thing really missing at this point.
I don't know, maybe they'll supply the glitter at the event.
A glitter cannon.
Yeah. Glitter bomb. The painting.
Downscaled.
Hundreds of hours on.
That's actually just reminded me. There's I found like a little a kind of sometimes full of D&D stuff, and one of them is like funny, quirky kind of treasures that you can find, and one is a second-hand bag of holding, and so you can store things into it. Basically, it's a second-hand bag, and therefore anything that you put in there comes out with bits of glitter on it. because it's a second-hand bag, and so anything
Yeah.
that goes in comes out with glitter, which I thought quite like that kind of little niche slant on it. Moving on, we have David Specky Geek sharing is it The Gathering?
Magic the Gathering.
Here. Magic the Gathering, which again I was saying on Discord, I've not actually played before, but to me the cards look very reminiscent of Dominion, if we remember that sort of game. But obviously there's a proper board game, a board to this. But I look forward to exploring that a little bit at some point. Do you both, Luke? Have you played?
I've played it. I've never played it with the physical cards, but I've played it online. It's a good fun game. Really interesting. It's been around for ages though. I think it started in like the 80s or something. It's one of those kind of surge of fantasy things. Cause, I think Games Workshop also started in the 80s with Warhammer. I think it's one of those few things that have really lasted so long. But it's a really good fun game, and it's kind of one of those you can just dip your toe in and have a good time, or you can really get into building your own bespoke decks and things like that. And so
and spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
Oh yeah, there's a new expansion coming out for it, which is Lord of the Rings themed, and as part of it they have made a single The One Ring card, and it is currently valued. Somebody has offered for whoever, and they've put it's almost like Willy Wonka. They've put it into a random pack, so nobody knows where in the world this card is. But somebody in America is offering $1 million for this one card. So, you never know. You could pop down to your local geeky store, buy a pack, and you could have an incredibly valuable card. Wow. But I don't know. Would you guys sell it if you got that sort of thing?
Immediately.
I wouldn't be that bothered actually.
No.
I think it means nothing to me. If I bought it immediately for something that I'm not actually interested in, and I get something of worth, then it wouldn't be a value. But I could easily kind of go for somebody else and be like, yeah, actually I could see it, and this is worth it. I guess that's how much would you spend?
How much
what is the price? What is the price on geekdom? To what point does it become a pivotal of saying this is my geek subject, this is what I'm really into? So you said how much? It's like, there you go, handed it over.
Or knowing that one of your best friends would get an inordinate amount of pleasure out of owning that card and would never sell it. It's do you hold it for a fact? No, I know the answer. I'm sorry, Specky Geek. If I got the card, I'd sell it.
But if you sold the best one for like $1 million or whatever, you could get a really cool one for like 10,000. Anyway, let's not pretend that that's ever going to happen. No, let's pretend that. No, anyway, let's move on to Dinosaurs, shall we? And Clever Dinosaurs. I hope you didn't mind the clickbait in regards to Clever Dinosaurs. I was going to put Clever Girl on this, and then suddenly realised that whilst the people of Jurassic Park would know that, anybody else would be going, so what now? Is that anything to do with... And so I kind of melded like Dinosaurs and Clever Girl as a Jurassic Park reference together, and I kind of got that whole kind of thing, and hopefully you've been drawn in by that. So Dinosaurs. I mean, for me, it's really interesting, is as kids we learn about dinosaurs, which if you kind of had to introduce this to like an alien from another planet, it's a bit weird, isn't it? To sort of say we kind of tell our small children about dinosaurs that were well before that we were ever born, that we ever existed, that went around, either ate plants or ate each other, and a meteor wiped them all out, and now we fuel our cars from their byproducts of their bones and their bodies, and yet they're really cute. It's just like, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But I'm all for it. So I think we need to ask another question. First of all, is what is our favourite dinosaur?
I believe you've got mine on the screen at the moment. I'm a big fan of the Ankylosaurus.
Fantastic.
It's definitely one of my favourites. In fact, I'm going to go grab. I believe it's just here.
a live moment of geekery is happening. It's happening in front of our eyes.
It's a real live Ankylosaurus.
We went
dum.
to IKEA, and my daughter got to
that.
pick a single. Well, I say pick. She was about 6 months, but we found an Ankylosaurus, and so I was really excited. But also, it turns into its own egg.
That's cool.
Which,
well done, IKEA.
Biologically speaking, I don't know whether this works or not. However, it's really cool.
Or it's an egg that hatches an Ankylosaurus, surely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
great.
beautiful.
So she's called Angie the Ankylosaurus,
very
and
cool.
one of the up there as one of the favourite toys because Grace is a massive fan of labels, and IKEA give you a huge label to chew on. So definitely a winner.
There we go. There's the dopamine hit, luring her into the geekery at an early age.
Paul's come in with, personally, I like the Do You Think Thesaurus? Very good. I like the Compsognathus, but maybe because I just spent ages reading one of my son's books about the Compsognathus and then learn how to pronounce it, and so I like to talk about the Compsognathus.
That one, the little ones.
Yeah, basically. And the only reason why I like it is because I can pronounce it. Brachiosaurus, like things like that. Stegosaurus, but that leans in towards kind of my Transformers niche and the dinosaur Transformers that they were, very much so. Becca, what about you?
I think mine is tied to the moment in Jurassic Park where they first see the dinosaurs, these people that have been digging them up for all of their kind of professional life, and suddenly along come, and they're Apatosauruses, aren't they? That long-necked Brontosaurus, only there's no such thing as a Brontosaurus.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I had that prepared. And there's something about the gracefulness, and I really get into his jagged taking off his glasses and kind of staring, because there is something that is outstanding. So I've got a real fondness for the Apatosaurus.
And I think it's important to mention Jurassic Park, isn't it? Because I think as alongside kind of that child kind of like a fascination and appreciation of dinosaurs, I think Jurassic Park made dinosaurs so much more culturally popular than anything else, really. And I guess it plays into that fantasy of what if the dinosaurs ruled the kind of were in the world again, and it's that kind of. And it is the disaster movie, isn't it, though? It kind of rolls into that kind of... They don't just sort of say, this is what it would be like to have a dinosaur. Because I imagine it would be a bit boring if nothing kind of disastrous happened. It's like, let's go around the park again, kids. No, we want a stuffed toy. And then kind of... So it has to kind of go on to become a bit more of an impact, and, someone's going to steal the DNA. Oh no, I better not. Where's the potential spoiler? It's been out for. Oops. Sorry. It's been out for a long time now, hasn't it? And I've got to say, I actually quite like the first, second, and third of the original trilogy as well. What do others think?
All right.
Cool.
I really enjoy the first one. I think the first one is excellent, truly excellent. It's one of those films that you can go back to now, and even though it's what 30 years old, it still holds. Yeah, it's just one of those classics that I think will stay for forever, really, and just sort of live in cinema history. The second two, I think if you really enjoy Jurassic Park, and as a child, when I found out there's more of these, great, I really enjoyed watching them, but they don't have quite that same gravitas as the first film does.
I think the second one in particular, but second and third one, are much more kind of Saturday afternoon disaster movies. The less of the look at the fantastic premise of Jurassic Park. It's very much kind of like oh, what's gonna happen? And there's dinosaurs, and I imagine that kind of maybe reflected the budget they also had as well. Like,
yeah.
Jurassic Park did fantastic. It was that kind of groundbreaking Spielberg behemoth, and the other two were just like, how much more money could we get out of this franchise?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't have the magic. And I think we'd seen the tricks.
Goldblum was in the second one. Sam Neill was in the third one.
Yes.
So they definitely kind of brought a little bit of that magic to it, but not in its entirety. Not in like a big, bold kind of sort of way.
No.
What are people's thoughts on the more recent ones, the Jurassic World films?
I'm trying to think if I've even watched it.
I
know. I've watched Jurassic Park, obviously.
They're the ones with Chris Pratt in them. And
I have watched Chris Pratt in it. I have seen Star-Lord. Okay, so I have watched Chris Pratt in a variety of films, which probably means I've watched. No, I have seen him in Jurassic World. I quite liked his relationship with the dinosaurs, with the raptors. That was, but it was Chris Pratt with some raptors that I don't really remember much of. That was good.
Yeah, again, I think it's come in that same wave of almost let's try and reboot everything and see what catches, which I think, the late, whatever we call them, late tens, I don't know, teens, whatever, that period, the last decade, that near the end of that decade, it seemed like we were trying, as a society to reboot anything from the 80s and 90s and see if people will still go and see it. And I think they fall into that fine category for me. The ones I've watched, I didn't switch off the film, but I've not enjoyed it in the same way as the original by any means.
See, I've got to say that I like the original. I remember my sister going to the cinema to watch it and coming back, and she was really excited. And I'm fairly sure she went in her little metro and she got spooked coming back home because she was worried that there's like a dinosaur coming. And I think she went to go and see it twice, which I was just like, what? You're going to go to the cinema twice to watch a film? Why would you do that?
I'm trying to think. If I saw the first one twice, I might have done. I remember my feet being on the chair when they're in the kitchen, and the raptor jumps up, and she just gets her foot through the ceiling.
But I think especially the first film, there are so much iconic bits in it. Yeah. So when it's kind of Jeff Goldblum's kind of "nature will find a way" speech, if it was thank you. There's the kind of. There's also the star cast as well. I mean, I keep on forgetting that Samuel L. Jackson's in it as a computer kind of programmer. Richard
Attenborough, just being Richard Attenborough,
The paperclip from Microsoft kind of Word disguised as a DNA kind of animation. You want to build a dinosaur? Do you need a hand? Sorry. Apologise to any of you.
I've just looked, and Jurassic Park turned 30 on the 9th of June, so literally 6 days ago. It had its 30th birthday.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's why we chose this theme this week.
Yeah, definitely.
At least we were a little bit more on trend now. I think, but yeah, like the raptor guy, like Clever Girl, what else is there? There's little kind of crucial little bits.
The amber. Every time you see a piece of amber now, you do have a glimpse. We had a moment of it at Big Church Festival the other week because some kind of fly landed in this clear soap and sunk down into it, and my colleague saved it to take home to his daughter, who was absolutely delighted, because there's something precious about seeing a dead fly in some clear liquid. Don't know why.
But it's a little nod, isn't it? It's a little nod.
It's that iconic moment, and the eggshell breaking away that There's something just so beautiful, and I think it's how Spielberg kind of holds space and story, that he gives the moments the space that they need. That there's something beautiful about the birth of anything, but the birth of something as miraculous as a DNA produced, whatever the magic science is. He kind of really venerates that, which I think he does really well.
I've got to say, with Jurassic Park, for me, there's still a key kind of quote that Becky and I still use, and like 30 years on, is "Where's the goat? Where's the goat? Where's the goat?" And that's usually in like a horror movie or when something's happening and people are joyfully walking along and something's out of place, and suddenly we go, "Where's the goat? Where's the goat? Where's the goat?" Just because it was that iconic moment. And I think there was this very much kind of, I don't know if I've not looked into it, but it feels as if there was definitely a lesson learned from things like Alien, where it wasn't about kind of, this is all about the dinosaurs, here are all the dinosaurs, all the dinosaurs. It was that kind of teasing and kind of just showing a little bit of dinosaur here, a little bit of dinosaur there, and the fact that
little bit of dinosaur thigh.
And then it's that the thumping and the glass moving. That is such an iconic scene.
So clever.
And then just the kind of the eye of the T-Rex, and then it kind of adjusting to the light. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're completely right, Becca, because a lesser director would have got this film and gone, dinosaurs, great, let's get dinosaurs on the screen straight away.
Throw another one in. Throw another one in.
That restraint to go, no, you're not seeing them for well over half an hour into this film.
Yeah,
you don't get to see a dinosaur. You're like, okay,
we see that huge pile of dinosaur poo before we fall in love with the dinosaur. It's just it's brilliant.
And then what's also funny I found is that then you have the generations after Jurassic Park. So in this 30 years, you have people posting pictures of them stood next to the Triceratops, and people going, "I can't believe these trophy hunters! I can't believe it! What they're doing!" And they're going, No, that's from a film. That's not real. They've not actually killed this thing. And he's like, wow, they have no grounding because they've not seen the original film because it means nothing to them. Anyway, kind of going off on one bit really, but I've got to say I am a big fan of the original trilogy. The first one maybe more than the other two, but I think the quirky and for a bit of Saturday afternoon disaster film watching, I'm all for it. But I think the Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, World Dominion, is that the second and third one? I think by the third one they're losing it a bit and they're just going, how many more dollars can we get on this?
It loses the reverence, doesn't it? It's difficult to maintain that mystery, that reverence, that space holding when you've kind of started to see everything.
But I thought that first Jurassic World one, I thought was very clever because they kind of, it feels as if they steered into the curve, as to say. So they even had one of the computer programmers with an original Jurassic Park T-shirt on, and it's just like that is hilarious, because they're giving a little nod to the original fans there, and and yet there's other bits of where you kind of. Well, no, I think the first one was done very well and very good. David's come along. Sorry, David, we've already shown the Magic Gathering.
We've already talked about you. You had your moment.
No, we haven't. No, but maybe for another time. But welcome.
I'm sorry for what I said.
There's lots of dinosaurs in Magic as well. Yeah, I'm sure David would be. Yeah, there's a whole dinosaur-themed decks you can play. So I'm sure he could talk to us about that.
But I think that I think again the second and third of the second trilogy, or the fifth and the sixth of the sixth. I don't know what the sixth film thing is. They kind of decided to lose it again because again it's that reverence and the one-off nature, isn't it? Doing something once well is fantastic, but then kind of tagging along stuff and otherwise. And was it the fifth film? Then you're kind of going, oh, they've found yet another. Old English chappie, who I believe also had a pig called Babe, and is on his deathbed, and it's just like, oh gosh, we're going there again, are we? And again, it's just that kind of. But I can understand because was it a lot of fan fiction or otherwise, that kind of militarized the animals. And I think it was one of the original games from the original film. They had it as if they were kind of had guns affixed to the dinosaurs, and so within that gap of the original Jurassic Park and this kind of return, they kind of went back to they kind of jumped onto this, and fan fiction really, and imagined what would the world look like. And I think that's what they've tried to kind of give a nod to in the kind of world dominion of saying, well, actually, what would it look like? And let's go there before the franchise stops. What would it look like if the military got their hands on it? What would it look like if the place was overrun by stuff?
And that's something that Paul was saying before. That the debate between science and ethics, between weaponizing things and not. And I think dinosaurs have always kind of done that for me. I hesitated as I said that sentence, and then I've said it anyway. But what dinosaurs enable us to do, because they are removed in a way that, say, the dodo didn't. The conversation we can have about extinction and what we lose when species die, and the way that we revere the carcasses of things that died a very long time ago, but also the kind of the magic and mystery of what can be found in the earth, and then our connection to the earth. I think one of the iconic sentences for me, and I quoted it out of context, was just because we can doesn't mean that we should. And I think that's absolutely that question about science and ethics, but the reality that we can touch dinosaur, we can touch their bones. We can still go to Woollerton Hall in Nottingham near us, and see an incredible display of that. Even in the last 20 years, they're still finding amazing things out through proper research, through scientific study, through the kind of the technology that's come along with that. And I think dinosaurs do something about the mystery of the world, that you can go along and touch history. You can go to the Jurassic Coast and discover fossils that just show how old our planet is. So there's something that dinosaurs do that enable us to come into a place of awe and wonder, but also science and ethics, which I think is kind of exciting, really.
And I think there's that element of the way kind of it's that marvel and wonder, isn't there, of being up close with something that is so very old but so very big. Went to the National History Museum and seeing the big kind of size of, is it the Triceratops skull, and it's just like, blimey. No matter how many kind of kids little kind of books and bits and pieces, my kids are 6 and 8, we read a number of these things, it's like, no matter how much you see of those things, no matter how kind of, it's the size of this, suddenly being face to face with the kind of, whether it's a remake of it or the original skull, you're there kind of going, stone skull or whatever, the fossil of it, then you're there kind of going, oh gosh, actually this is really big, and this is a little bit not scary, but like you're just in awe of this kind of like the size of it. And
for me, and I think this builds on the point you were making, Becca, it puts a lot of things in a context, historically speaking. For thinking about the idea that this species or kingdom or genus, I'm not sure the right word, existed on our planet, same planet that we're walking on now, existed for far longer than we have even been like a concept of a species as humanity, which for that sort of that humility of actually the importance of the care that we take, the fact that we are causing damage to our Earth, and actually in a very short space of time. In some ways, you could say dinosaurs, even though they are extinct, were a much more successful species in terms of caring for the Earth, perhaps. And so, I think it's a really important thing. That geekery as spirituality that you just popped up, Becca, I think is really important.
Yeah. Because we've covered reverence, we've covered awe and wonder, and the kind of the tapping into magical, which is, it kind of goes with the acceptance that we can't fully understand or comprehend the length of time that dinosaurs existed ago, but also the idea of being present in the moment, mindfulness, taking notice, taking care, all of those things that are practiced because we're willing to go into the imagination with dinosaurs to explore what the fossils might be, to touch appropriately. There's just, I think if we were to write a course just on geeky spirituality, dinosaurs would be there in chapter 1 of what they can teach us.
And I know it's very trivial in some ways, but kind of growing up on the East Coast, we used to go to the beach, and one of the main activities we used to do wasn't to build sandcastles or even skimming stones or things. Me and my family, we'd walk along the beach and just trying to find fossils in the beach, and I'd come up, I'd find like these little kind of little bits and pieces, and I think it surprised me. I can't remember which beach I went to. I went to another beach. And I was like going, "There's no fossils here. Why is that?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realise that our coast was a special one. Like the kind of and it's just like, oh gosh, I didn't realise that happens for everyone." But I had many kind of wonderful kind of hours in quiet, in just that, and then picking them up and just feeling those kind of ridges of the Amorites. Are they called? No, what they're called?
Ammonite.
Ammonites, yeah.
Ammonite.
And just to be able to kind of feel those swells and just imagine even little tiny ones, just feeling that kind of connection with something that had kind of been around for many thousands upon thousands of years ago. And I don't want that to be a tedious link to another part of kind of faith element, is for those sort of people who don't believe in the dinosaurs, and that they don't believe that they were kind of a thing, and that kind of that I don't know whether it's sort of like an argument where they feel as if it kind of undermines the creation narrative, the kind of Genesis 1 and 2, and it's just like, well, all because God, or because kind of the early faith kind of people kind of missed that bit out. It doesn't mean to say it didn't happen, or because science shows that they've proved how all these things are. It doesn't mean to say that they've been put there by another entity, or that we haven't quite worked out the whole aging process, because actually the world is only 5,000 years old. I think it just sort of says, actually, we don't always know the bigger picture, and that's how I kind of equate that in my faith, to sort of say, I think if an angel came down or kind of spoke to Moses or Abraham about large creatures with big tails and big gnashes that roamed the world before we were, people would be going, so what now? I think it would be a little bit of a tangential leap from kind of talking about kind of on day 3, day 3, kind of God sent lots of animals thousands of years in between day 3 and day 4, and but we don't mention about that bit. I don't know. It just I think
that's the scientific theory of the time. It's a theory until it's proven wrong or proven differently. I don't have a problem with people at the time who believed the world was flat, who have not quite got evolution down pat in their scientific theory. I'm okay with that.
No, definitely. And I think that recognition of, even now, like you say, Mark, we don't know everything. There's so much more still to figure out and to discover, and but almost that, for some people, they may see that as something, as a challenge to their faith, but that is almost a catalyst to my faith. It tells me there is so much more to know. There is so much more of the world, of the universe. There's so much more at the microscopic, subatomic level. But that is all God to me. There is so much more of God to know, and that's what I want to do in faith. Is I want those things to sit alongside each other, and to me there is a unity between faith and science and research and things like that. They to me shouldn't be in competition with each other, but I think that it's a challenge, because the loudest voice is often that voice of, no, absolutely, that did not happen. We want it really clear, black and white. Thank you. We don't want to acknowledge that we don't know yet.
But the abundance that offers of what we don't know, and there's also something about that process of creation that is God's delight. You know, the first thing God does is create and then connect. And there's something about, well, why would you rush something that you get such joy out of? When I only did 6 months of pregnancy the first time I did it, and there was a mourning and a sense of loss that I lost just 3 months to finish cooking the baby. That the process of creation and making and doing, why would you rush that? 9 months isn't long enough to finish honing and creating, and you continue that through parenting. I don't understand why the creator would ever wish to rush through something that is at the very core of who they are.
I think Paul's question here is really interesting. Would you create dinosaurs? Well, if you could, why would you not create them?
Well,
and I think Jurassic Park is a really good example of why you wouldn't. However, I think this sits alongside the idea of creating life, the responsibility to me that there is in, if you create something, you've got a responsibility to look after that thing. You know, I've had the massive privilege to become a dad, but I have a responsibility to look after my daughter, to care for her. And it feels like a Jurassic Park is a good example of people who created something and then tried to exploit it. They didn't create these beings, these dinosaurs, for the interest of the world, of having these creatures in it. It was to make money in the end. And similarly, I sit in this place when we're talking about the idea of AI. I think AI as it exists now, obviously, is not self-aware and can't think and can't feel. However, if we create something that can, then we've got a massive responsibility as a species to look after that thing. It's really important to me that we treat it as a being if we get to the point of creating it, making it be able to think. Yes, sorry, I've strayed away from dinosaurs to thinking about future things.
No, but it just goes on our list for future weeks. Well done.
I think I would say though that individuals in Jurassic Park, so like the kind of I was about to say the character name, but Richard Attenborough. No, which one is he? Dickie Attenborough. Yeah, Richard Attenborough. There are characters within Jurassic Park who are kind of creating the dinosaurs
because they love them, because they were geeky about them,
and then they get exploited. The original park is kind of fine until someone then tries to exploit and turn gates off.
Yeah.
Potential spoilers. Sorry.
We could have a long conversation about late-stage capitalism if you like.
Yeah. I prefer to keep our full viewers. Only kidding. I think it is just really interesting, isn't it? About kind of, how's best to say, where kind of dinosaurs give us that way into a creative process of the world that we haven't been given the footnotes to, like in the Bible, and therefore I think it's that kind of, it is the no spoilers bit, isn't it? That we don't know everything. We haven't come onto this planet and going, well, that's it. 8 is all my life, all our understanding is done. Actually, there's still mystery, and there's still mystery under our feet that we still haven't discovered. We still haven't discovered kind of, we don't know the kind of the full reasoning, what happened, where happened, and how happened of all the dinosaurs. And it just blows my mind a little bit that the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Triceratops wasn't around at the same time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's just like,
Is it the T-Rex is closer to us than it was to the Stegosaurus, I think? In terms of time, there was a greater time between the Stegosaurus and the T-Rex, which absolutely insane lengths of time that we're dealing with. But
and I guess
it's sizes as well.
Yeah.
The sheer size of some of those animals is just, I can't comprehend that. It makes an elephant look stupid. Not stupid, sorry, elephants. So any elephants out there watching, I apologise.
Geekery would like to create a formal apology on behalf of. No, yeah, I think I think I just love the mystery, and I think for me in my faith, I'm happy that there is that. I guess the flexibility. I'm not challenged by the dinosaurs existing. It just makes me marvel God more and kind of go, wow, isn't our planet fantastic? That it's not only it wasn't only kind of one one version. It wasn't just one version of the Earth and the world for us. Because that's quite egocentric, isn't it? It's about very much like, oh look, it's all about us. Actually, God enjoyed this creation and continues to enjoy this creation, and that was kind of version 3.0, 4.0, 6.0, 7.0, and now we're on like 20.0 with us kind of humans. And isn't it like something ridiculous that if the world was like a 24-hour clock, we have only existed as humankind in the last 5 minutes or something.
No, I think it's like a couple of seconds.
It's short.
It's something ridiculous that it humbles you as a human, doesn't it? To recognize, oh, actually, we've barely touched the skin of this planet in a sense. We're barely here. But absolutely. And I think it puts that into perspective really well. And like you were saying, Mark, about how little we do know, there's things like that we still don't. I think they say something like that there are more species in the oceans that haven't been discovered than have. There's so much more still to learn and to find out, and I found that amazing and exciting. It's exciting.
And in the meantime, though,
so much more.
We're killing them. I mean, that's
the dinosaurs.
The dinosaurs. Sorry, dinosaurs. I think dipping into the abundance for me and the wonder of it all makes it okay for me to then feel the urgency of, and now I want to make sure I'm really part of the solution rather than and I much prefer this way round, where we start from the celebration, the wonder, the awe, the pausing, and then we have the visit of, and what is our science advances doing? What are we doing? What is our behaviour doing? So that what has been is preserved and venerated and all the rest of it. And I think that is as much that spiritual practice as anything else.
Absolutely, and it's the core tenet of our faith, isn't it? That we are custodians, of the world that we've been given, and it's so important to look after that, because it's that almost we are here to look after it, but that doesn't mean it's ours. It's not just ours to have and exploit as we want to. You're looking after it, but you've got to share it with everything else that's here. So, I fully agree with what you say there, Becca.
It's interesting. Last time I went into a museum with my kids, we went once and it didn't really kind of work. Miriam was frightened of all the bones, so that was a bit of a short level on that floor. But we did it, and she persisted. And second time, it was fantastic. And we went around and we're looking at some of these dinosaur bones and all these kind of things, which was fantastic. And then we saw the various other animals and things around and about, and then we kind of walked home and otherwise. And it was a couple of weeks later that my son was talking about, going, oh yeah, and obviously we've dug up those bones, haven't we? We've found them, and that's fantastic about the dinosaurs. I was like, yeah. And can you remember going to the museum? Yeah. I went, where did we find the other animals then? And I was just like, basically, a few within the last 100 years or so, we used to go around the world and just shoot the animals and then stuff them and bring them back, and not so so worthy. It's like, wow, actually, it does put it into context, doesn't it? There's one thing digging up the bones of an animal that's gone the way, but actually to say that actually a lot of these other animals we've just been hunting and shooting and now are parading in our museums. Look at our splendours of these dead animals. It's just like, oh man. It's about that stewardship, and it really brings it home to our accountability, and we've got to stand up for that, really.
Yeah,
there is that, and that's comes full circle to talking about the dodo, doesn't it? The reason why the dodo went it was because it was so tasty.
Yeah.
So we understand.
Yeah.
Apparently, so are turtles.
Yeah, the
when
giant tortoise from the
the
Galapagos.
giant,
Yeah. They
and
couldn't get them back to the UK, could they?
I love that fact.
I think
They
that was
couldn't
on
get
QI,
it back because
wasn't
they were too delicious and they got eaten.
That just reminds me of is it Homer Simpson and his lobster? He's like, oh, lobster. That he kind of he kills his lobster but enjoys eating it.
Absolutely, because the people on the ship, like, yes, there were sailors, but also there were scientists there. There were, well, I don't know what they used to call themselves, but I don't want to call them naturalists because that's definitely wrong. But naturists or whatever they would be called, they were definitely on those ships.
We'll just leave the formal apology up.
Eating up these turtles at the same time, which is just horrifying.
I can't think what they're called either.
Is that scientist naked over there? Yeah. he's a naturalist. He's a naturist.
Naturist, naturalist.
Yes, natural philosophers, Paul. That sounds about right.
Thanks, Paul Coleman. You can stay.
Back on track.
Yes. Oh, bless.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys about was how did it make you feel, given sort of being shown how dinosaurs may have actually really looked compared to the sort of image that we are sold of them?
Like more like the feathered kind of type.
Yeah.
And kind of. I kind of know. Hello. Hello.
You're live on the internet.
Don't swear. Don't swear. You're live.
Don't swear.
My bad.
Yeah. It's. I've got no problem with it because I kind of know that we're kind of. We're kind of used to making it up, aren't we, as the human race? And just as you said about science, is that you can only kind of disprove your kind of these hypotheses, and yeah, again, I don't mind. You know, it's that same kind of in the same boat as kind of them not living all at the same time as each other, or kind of suddenly realizing, and what sound did they make? You know, and I'm not that. I think
there's an experiment. What sound do you think they made, Mark? Go.
Bird-like dinosaur you want?
Yes.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Well, which
for.
one? Which one are you on about? Because it's quite a few dinosaurs, isn't there?
The one with the long neck, and I want to hear the sound you think it made.
Imagine like a. But that's very much Jurassic Park, isn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I'll say. Oh, what was it? That was one of my favourite ones. There's the acid spitting one with
that doesn't exist though. They made that one up. They made that one up.
I love that one so much.
Didaptus or something? Yeah, they unfortunately made that one up. They're like, oh, we need something that's a bit more exciting.
Bitterly disappointing.
But there's a question though, isn't it, of whether did they make it up did they make it up part of the narrative? That was it actually a part of a science lab experiment, or did they actually kind of go, we're going to need a bit more of an exciting dinosaur. What should we do?
Oh, I hope there was a composite of dinosaurs that might have existed at some point. I hope there was a little tiny bit of science theory behind it and not just pure imagination.
Yeah.
Got Willy Wonka in my head now.
Willy Wonka.
Oh, there's another one. Roald Dahl.
Oh yeah.
Could geek out on Roald Dahl a bit.
Well, my daughter is singing Matilda still, so she's really into that.
Oh, the new one.
I'm adding it to the list.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh.
That's on Becca's end.
That's me.
I thought you were doing dinosaur noises. I was
I'm doing dinosaur moving. This is what I think.
He's a dinosaur ventriloquist.
Don't break any copyrights.
The whole there was a whole section on that in the exhibition that was that Becca mentioned at Woolerton Hall, on people piecing together dinosaurs so that they could discover a new one, or that they found some bits, but it wasn't a whole dinosaur. Because I think the scientific community was really excited if you found a whole skeleton, but they weren't bothered if you found just a few bits. And so yeah, they would build sort of Frankenstein dinosaurs, which
Interesting.
is very odd to think. But again, it's almost that human pride getting in the way of truth element.
Surely not. Surely we've moved past that as a always. Let's not go there.
Maybe one day. Who knows?
Cool. Well, I think our time is nearly upon us, and we can let Becca go for a curry.
So hungry.
It's I feel as if I'm missing out. Really, I enjoyed my salad tonight. We should be starting shortly, shall we? Oh, good. Becca has the control of all the things. But
I think I've done an excellent job with banners this evening.
You have.
You've been very active.
And as we are gathered, it's just a little reminder that if you liked watching and otherwise, please like, follow, subscribe, and sorry, Luke.
That's all right. I'm still here.
Just didn't get rid of you. Please do follow the links and clicks and all that kind of stuff on the Jubidoos.
Join us on Discord.
Yeah, join us on Discord.
Yeah, it's good fun.
And that's stuff should be on there as well. And join us on Discord and share some of your geeky things.
Yeah, we want
I
to
think
see
we're also
geeky
due like more kind of creative, crafty things as well.
Have you baked anything? Have you sewn anything?
Yeah,
I want to see it.
I think, and also just come at us with ideas of what geeky things we can do, because we're only limited people, and if you kind of go, I can't believe they've not approached this yet, give us a shout and we can.
So far, we've got AI and Roald Dahl to talk about, and AN craft activity.
I would like a Doctor Who later on in the year, but maybe tying in with their kind of.
We'll tie it in with the Christmas special.
No, the 60th special. It's November.
When is that? Okay.
So kind of around November time.
We can have a few Doctor Who. Good.
Yeah.
Tolkien would be good.
Definitely.
I forgot to mention about Doctor Who, because new chappie, what's his name, Lenny Rush, playing Morris in Doctor Who. I've thrown it in. But cool. Thank you, folks, for watching. You can find us on Discord and/or comment on. But thank you for joining us tonight. For those people watching on catch up of whatever sort, do feel free to be part of the Discord community. Thank you, Luke, for joining us. Thank you, Becca. And shall I drop you off the screen? And you two don't run away. Just I know you got curry, but don't run away just quickly, Becky.
All right.
Becca. But bye for now, you two. I'm going to drop you.
Bye.
Ka-chow, ka-chow. Folks, thank you for watching, and as always, it's been a pleasure to be here with you, and I guess it all remains for me to say is geek safe and blessed be the geek.